Hey everybody, welcome to The Bottom Line. I'm Michael Noland. Tonight we're going to be talking about Joe Bonamassa and some of his thoughts on the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, specifically having to do with John Mayall to begin with. Of course, John Mayall passed away and will be honored by the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame this year. But for those of you who are still living under a rock, asking the question, Joe Bonamassa? Nah, he's on second. I'm talking Joe Bonamassa. All right, so Joe Bonamassa has got to be one of, if not the best rock lead guitarist that's out touring currently. And Joe has some concerns about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and who's not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I've had those same concerns myself. I did an entire video where I showed 100 rock acts that are not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I'll pin that in the corner and I'll offer that video as one of your choices to click on at the end of this video. But back to Joe Bonamassa and this article. You see, Joe is talking about some of the weaknesses of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and this article, although it's a short and concise article, it does bring up a couple of things that Joe says that I agree with, and one thing that I strongly disagree with. Now, the article starts off by saying Joe Bonamassa implored the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame to reckon with its many eligible artists of advanced age, saying the institution cannot wait for them to all die. Now, Joe made these comments while he was on an episode of Artists on Record while he was reflecting on John Mayall, who has just passed away at the age of 90. And of course, John Mayall is being honored by the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame this year. And Joe says, I'm glad he was aware that he was going into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But then he said, I am sad and slightly pissed off that he didn't live to see it because he deserved to go in decades ago. And then he said, same thing with Alexis Coroner. He deserved to go in. Then Joe states the obvious. He says, there are a lot of omissions that I think they need to start reconciling quickly, because you cannot wait for them to all die and go, well, we're going to put you in posthumously. He continues, it means something. It would have meant something to John to get that statue. In fact, it would have meant something to people like my friend Chris Squire from Yes. Yes goes in the year after he died. It would have meant something. But Joe continues. He says there's a lot of people that are now aging out or becoming in their 70s and 80s that really should have been in decades ago. He says they need to get them in because it's the right thing to do for the artist. He continues, and I like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Well, there's no accounting for taste, Joe, that's all I can say. But he continues on saying, they're very nice people. Always had a great relationship with them, just for their own organization and credibility. Something with Paul Rogers needs to go in the fucking hall. You mean to tell me that Free is not in the Hall of Fame? Now, pretty much everything that Joe has said so far in this article, I'd concur with, I'd agree with him, but not on this next statement where he says they have to reconcile the TV broadcast as well, because the argument of, well, this is a TV broadcast, so we need to stay relevant, that's great. You do the TV broadcast, but How about the day before you have a ceremony, a dinner, and you induct 10 people that maybe are not hip or not active playing wise, so they can't do any playing on the show? A John Mayall, or how about Los Lobos? He says, let's start there. Anything with Paul Rogers. Pick one. The Firm, Free, Bad Company. Now, I would agree with Joe regarding Paul Rogers being in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That's way far too long in the tooth as far as I'm concerned. But this last statement by Joe Bonamassa really sets my teeth on edge. First of all, who ever said that the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame has to have a TV show to begin with? Their numbers have been down. Most of us don't watch it on TV. In fact, most of us probably watch little portions of it that are provided to us here on YouTube by content creators like myself. And yet, what is Joe Bonamassa's solution? To sit Paul Rogers at the kiddies table? Not only that, but to sit him there the day before the damned event. This would just be more of the same, allowing the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame to juniorize the rock legends that created the art form to begin with. You don't put these people at the kids' table, folks. You take LL Cool J and you take Missy Elliott and you throw them out with the kiddies' table of the building. And while they're at it, they fire every single person on the nominating committee that doesn't have direct connections with rock and roll. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame should be a museum, whether that's contained in a building, in a book, or a list online, and there should be a reverence to the art form itself. Now, every time I make one of these videos, I always get comments from a few people who will say, what's the big deal? It's only a TV show. It's really just honoring what's current, what's more popular in the music scene today. I've had others who have suggested that they just merely change the name to the Music Hall of Fame. And if they did that and discontinued their ties with anything that they've honored in the past, I would be fine with that. As far as those who say this is just a TV show, all I can ask you is, are you watching the same show that I'm watching? Where in the hell is the rock and roll? Now, some might bring up the fact that at least this year is a little bit more forgiving to some classic rockers, bringing up the fact that Foreigner is being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And they say that's a move in the right direction, and I can't disagree with that entirely. I'm glad that the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame was at least smart enough to induct only the members that created the music. But this isn't the rock and roll righting old wrongs, folks. This year's list was an apology list. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, first of all, has been distancing itself from one of its creators, Jan Winter, ever since he made some off-color remarks regarding black artists and women artists in rock and roll. And then when that scandal started to settle down, out came the rumblings about his old battles with bands like Foreigner. And so to distance itself even further from Jan Winter, they included Foreigner in this year's list. But don't you forget, folks, that most of those people who are distancing themselves from Jan Winter were either put on that committee and the board either directly by or indirectly by Jan winner. So we're not one Jan winner less with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame so much as we have a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame full of Jan winners. All right, folks, that's the video for tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider giving me a thumbs up. That helps the YouTube algorithm better identify the video to a larger audience. And if you are one of my many viewers who come by occasionally, watch a video here or there, but haven't subscribed to this thing we call the tribe, well, all I can say is that is so easy to do. All you have to do is hit that subscribe to the tribe button, then tap that top bell icon. You gotta tap that thing. If you don't, you gotta wait for the video to show up in your home feeds. All right, I'm Michael Noland. This is The Bottom Line. Once again, I'll say this clearly. This is the bottom line as I see it. But the channel's bottom line, the real bottom line on this channel is always in the comments, folks. And that's where we show that we are the tribe.